Alright, we're coming back into game 2 here. The bands coming in. Let me go ahead and slide this back to the picks and bans. This time, Team 1 will be Permafrost, Team 2 will be Ramrod, and the first band coming out looks like Lee Sin from Permafrost. So again, same band, targeted at Ramrod, and then again, Ramrod responding with a Malphite ban. And then, again, same thing. They've got a Morgana ban coming in from Permafrost. And they banned Wukong this time. So, looks like neither team wants the other team to have Wukong. A Thresh band against the support of Ramrod. And then the responding Ziggs ban coming in from Ramrod. So, they really sort of, you can see it's almost as if both teams are sharing a lot of champions. The way that these bans are going, they don't want when the other team has first pick. You got to ban this or that champion. Too much of a risk. First pick coming in for Permafrost. This is a surprise. Is Evelynn for the jungle.
For Permafrost?
For Permafrost, yes. Picks up Evelynn first, and Ramrod responds with a Braum Tristana bot lane. And to which Permafrost responds with their own bot lane of Nami Caitlyn. So the bot lanes have been locked in.
So that lane is going to be at more risk if Thresh lands a hook, but they're going to have a lot better poke. Oh, I'm sorry. Still, if Braum gets onto one of them or lands a slow and Tristana follows up, they're going to have a harder time repelling than if they had Braum themselves, but they do have better poke for better disengage.
Two very different champions coming out next for Ramrod, picking up Nocturne and Renekton. So Nocturne jungle most likely, and a Renekton going top. And then the last two picks coming in for Permafrost as Brand, Nasus. They're running almost an identical team comp to their last one. They really like the Brand. The Nasus they were happy with. It looks like the only thing they really changed was the support in the jungle. And then the last pick coming out for Ramrod is Ryze. So a Ryze mid versus a Brand. Ryze is at a disadvantage in terms of range and his ability to clear the wave, but his late game power is very strong. So when you've got a Renekton in top with the early game spike of power, and then you've got a Tristana Ryze to rely on for the late game, it's a pretty well balanced team composition. And again, I mean, Permafrost is just looking to do the same thing again. They want to build their Wombo. They want to get all their ultimates off at the same time, this time with an Evelynn, which might allow Arid, the jungler, to get better positioning before they start the fights, whereas Amumu is kind of a, when you're in, and you're committed, and there's nothing you can do. Evelynn has a little bit more flexibility. She's got a speed boost to get her out if she gets into a bad spot, but not as much CC coming down from an Evelynn. So the ultimate coming in from Amumu and the bandage toss, which really allowed them to lock down some kills, they won't have that. They're going to instead rely on the Nami bubbles to really lock down huge amounts of players at once. It's really the only big CC they've got. Brand is a single target CC, which is not super easy to land. Nasus has the Wither, that's a single target, so Nami is the majority of their CC. Now, if Evelynn can throw her ultimate down, which is an AoE slow, theoretically Nami can follow that up with a wave, and because of the slow, it'll be harder to dodge, and then follow that up with a bubble, if everything were to go perfectly. But on the flip side,
this support player hasn't really made himself known for landing these clutch skill shots either.
At least with Braum. At least with Braum.
He did land a few good Braum ultimates in a team fight, in team fights though, so I could be wrong here, and hopefully
Yeah,
I am.
I mean, if you miss 50%, you're still hitting 50%. So there's you gotta look for the silver lining, and you know, take what you can get. You got about a minute and a half before the game starts. The matchup in top lane definitely advantage Renekton early. We've seen this before in terms of Big Hands Chang going up against Renekton. Typically, I think the last time we saw this Nasus player go up against Renekton, he was down about 100 CS by 20-25 minutes. Got dived under the tower a lot, but then was able to swing back in the late game. The only difference being this time they're up against a Tristana and a Ryze. And big pick, Braum. So a lot of damage from Permafrost is relying on sort of getting all those abilities come swinging in at the same time, the brand in particular. Braum, with effective use and a shield in the right direction, can basically nullify the majority of Permafrost's CC and damage. It can block the skill shots from Caitlyn, can block the bubbles from Nami, can block, I believe, the ultimate from Evelynn, in theory, if he gets it up in time, although it's hard to block because Evelynn's stealthed. Can't block the Wither, but can certainly block the stun and the ultimate from Brand. So that's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that.
So it seems like the Ramrod has a little bit better scaling now that they've picked up Ryze, but their wave clear is going to be worse for not having a Ziggs on their team.
Yep.
Something they really relied a lot on the last game, off pushes, or completely shut down pushes.
But what they gained was the Nocturne. So Nocturne is a champion who has an ultimate that lets him dive into an enemy team, basically pick a target and go straight to him. And then if you've got follow-up from champions like Tristana, Braum, and Renekton, there's a lot of potential there. And then Ryze following up immediately after to lock someone down and kill them quickly. The other side of it that's important to note is when Nocturne pops his ultimate, for, I don't know what it is, maybe 6 to 8 seconds, the map is shrouded in darkness for the opposing team. So they can't see anybody that they're not standing immediately next to. Which really allows you to cut people off and let you start fights on your own terms. And if the enemy team is not grouped and communicating really well, you can get into a rough spot. You can see big group of Ramrod now, the red team, heading straight for that tri-bush. This could be really bad if Caitlyn doesn't get there soon. They pause briefly. She's not going to ward it. She sees him. Ryze flashes. There's the flash from Caitlyn. So we get a flash from Ryze and an ignite for a flash for Caitlyn. I'd say that's probably worth it, actually. 2 summoners from mid lane, 1 summoner from bot lane.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
That's going to make Caitlyn more vulnerable to
the Braum in the lane, yeah, for sure.
If Braum lands something and they get a hard commit, Caitlyn's going to have a slightly harder time getting out. But I really don't think that's going to be a problem. Caitlyn's going to have to make a serious mistake positioning to get caught out that badly.
No, what's interesting about that play, what just happened there, all of the players on both teams have yellow trinkets. So, I mean, a learning point for anyone watching, all that Caitlyn had to do was drop the trinket in the bush before she stepped into it, and she would have had forewarning and probably wouldn't even have been seen by the opposing team. She would have been able to just walk out. So just choosing to throw that trinket down could have saved her summoner for the lane. Face-checking bushes is dangerous. Although, I mean, credit to Ramrod, they got off the fountain very quickly to get to that bush at the same time Caitlyn did.
Oh, Bren, go. Ooh. So thinking back to those summoners, Rise probably needed that flash way more than Caitlyn did, so I think that was really poor trade. Even if it flash for flash, it would have been bad trade, but Rise lost the ignite on top of it, so hopefully the Permafrost can make use of it, make use of that summoner spell deficit.
Yeah, and it'll really come down to whether Brand can effectively trade here in this mid lane. You can see that the Rise opted for a Sapphire Crystal, which gives him a lot of extra mana, but he's lower in... Well, actually, I think he ends up with the same number of pots.
For a gank top.
Evelyn snuck into the bush.
Seems to have... I think Renekton suspects something, because he's not playing nearly as aggressively as he was. Oh. Great patience on Evelyn.
Big knock up from Nami. The fight happening in top. The red buff doing a lot. Looks like they have to back out.
Not enough. And Nocturne just hit mid and sent Brand back.
So lots happening on the map. Bot lane, really good trade. Top lane, honestly, not really in Nasus's favor though, because with that much health lost, it puts him at risk. I guess Renekton doesn't have an ignite though. Nasus taking a lot of damage from minions. He's got to be careful how much health he loses. Minions do a lot of damage at this point.
Evelyn should have stuck around.
Yeah, you can see Nocturne coming in for a lane gank here. Renekton just trying to get extra harass down. Brand really pushing on the Rise now that he's back. But not winning the CS war in the mid lane. You know, if you're going to blow all your mana, you better get a kill if you're going to lose that much CS. And Nasus is now zoned from the tower, afraid to go for the CS. Although, I mean, we've got something happening here that we haven't seen in just about any game. Nasus is up 7 CS on the Renekton.
Oh, kill mid.
Oh, I missed it. Was it just a trade? 1 for 1? Yeah.
1 for 1.
So it looks like they both just said, we're going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. And they both blew their ignite. Rise didn't have his flash up. Both players have already respawned, so it's just an even trade.
Brand isn't getting ahead, or Brand isn't getting ahead with trades like that, and he really needs to put Rise down to slow him down.
Yep, when you've got a late scaling champion like Rise, gold going both ways is a net loss. Who got the first blood? Did you see?
Rise did.
Rise did. Okay, so that's not good at all. Again, he's just blowing CS and mana, just losing. Just really likes to cast his spells on the minions, I gotta say. Very little patience from the Brand. Bot lane's going really well for Permafrost this time around. The sustain from Nami is really letting them kind of push around. Aside from the fact that they're down in CS, they're pretty comfortable in the lane. So if they can just land those last hits. Nasus still ahead of Renekton. 23 to 22. Nocturne showing himself in mid lane. Wandering towards the top half. Nasus should be trying to freeze this lane if possible. As much as... Nope, not freezing it. Okay, losing some CS. And Rise hit 6 first. That's pretty important. Brand's probably 2 or 3 minions away, but Rise now has the ability to really punish him. Oh, nice stun from Brand. Losing all of his mana in the process, though. That full rotation, he's not going to get those minions. He's able to get the cannon. That's the important one. Lots of patience now. Picks up the cannon minion. Nice. Big Q coming in from Braum. Looks like they're just going to back out. Hopefully Caitlyn can pick up most of this farm. And Evelyn looking for a gank in the mid lane. Rise not really recognizing the fact that vision wards don't help. Oh, but they spot Evelyn. She might have been typing. She's caught. Oh. she's down. Big damage coming in from Brand. He blows his ultimate, but he's out of mana. Unable. If he could cast 2 or 3 more spells, he might have been able to pick up a double kill there. But again, this is where the mana in the lane, using it to farm, is a real risk. Evelyn just getting completely caught out there. Good intuition from the Nocturne to wander towards the mid lane like that. Not even knowing how free that was going to be.
At least Brandon died too.
That's true. That's true. Got a slight CS advantage. Pushed the lane, kind of. Not quite. He kind of put it in a bad place for himself. Ryze should be able to pick up all that CS. None of it will go to the tower. Blue buff getting handed off to Brand now. He's going to have to back out though. So again, if Ryze can just freeze it, he's going to go get his own blue. So both mid laners now having blue buff. Ryze missing out on almost none of that CS. Still frozen forward for him, which is where he wants it. And Renekton starting to show his teeth. Pushing Nasus around. Nasus doing well on the farm though. This is, again, I think this is the best we've seen Nasus do comparative to his opponent.
Evelyn's managed to catch up with Nocturne in terms of CS, which is surprising because earlier in the game she got to be up to as much as 10 CS behind, and she's managed to close that 1 CS behind.
So a not so great thing happening in top lane though. Renekton is starting to push Nasus around now.
Yeah, I think Evelyn is really gonna have to work some magic up there.
Looks like he's going for a bot lane play instead. The lane is kind of far forward though. Brand really far pushed up. You gotta remember that Nocturne has his ultimate now. So he can ult in from, you know, pretty much anywhere on the map. I remember when Nocturne first came out, back when we were playing Twisted Tree Line. He was the terror of pretty much every game. Nice harass coming out from bot lane. They're putting the hurt down on Tristana. I'd say the Nami is doing a pretty good job of kind of holding that lane. Although Tristana's pulling ahead, and when you count in the relic shield, the gold that's shared from the Braum, that's actually a pretty significant gold difference in the bot lane.
Yeah.
The one good thing that's happening in top lane though is that Nasus is actually slightly ahead in experience. So though he's losing the farm, the little bit of CS here and there, he's not falling behind in levels, which can be pretty important. Ramrod really establishing that vision control just outside of mid lane. Brand very low. They're looking to force a play here, but Ryze just stops him in his tracks. And that...
Yep, and they don't have Ziggs's wave clear here, so you can just see how much harder it is for them to get up to that tower.
Oh, this could be bad. Again, trying to force it. The ultimate bouncing back and forth. Missed the stun. Ooh, nice damage from Brand, but
they might be able to dragon off of it if Evelyn stays, which she didn't.
And Brand also backs out, so basically both jungle and mid lane are just saying. Yeah, and again, Brand just blowing his mana. Gonna have to back now, which gives the advantage to Ramrod if they go for a dragon. Brand will not be there, at least immediately. But I think that mid lane trade that we just saw is a taste of what these endgame team fights are going to be. Evelyn trying to get close, and Ryze just locking her in place. That's going to continue throughout the game. She's going to have a very hard time moving around in these team fights. Ness is taking a lot of damage trying to get some CS there. Rise pulling slightly ahead of Brand in terms of CS in the lane. Only about 400 gold difference though. It's about a 200 to 400 gold difference in every lane, pretty much. With every lane for... Ooh, Nocturne cheeky going in for the Vision Ward here. Evelyn's alone, unable to really contest. And you can see Ramrod setting up for the dragon. They want the dragon. They got all the dragons last game, and they're going to do the same thing again. Evelyn's nearby, but unable to contest, walking over tons of wards, and just really good dragon control from Ramrod.
Yeah, Permafrost really need to get their dragon control together. They've lost so many dragons between this game and the last game that that's something they really need to improve on.
Well, a lot of it's just timing your backs. You know, knowing when the dragon's going to be available, knowing when the other team's likely to go for it, and just backing at the right time. NASA's starting to fall off now. Held up early, but Renekton really pulling ahead now. The only real hope, I think, for Permafrost is in the bot lane. Oh! The fear gets landed on Caitlyn. Trying to disengage. Braum lands the passive. There's going to be the stun. Lots of damage coming down from Caitlyn. Misses the bubble. And the re-engage, the ultimate, and blocked by Braum.
Close, and that took Nocturne's ult, which is on a very long cooldown, so that was a win on their part. It's just a shame they couldn't pick up a kill in return.
Look at the vision control from Ramrod. They've lit up the entire enemy jungle on the bottom side. The whole river. I mean, it's going to be very hard for Evelyn to move around down there. At least in the river.
Well, hopefully they can get those vision wards clear the way eventually without dying. But we'll just have to see.
Nice little fist bump from Braum there before backing. Both Brand and Rise sitting on a blue buff, so there's kind of a power spike there for both champions. He's got to be careful though. Hopefully he doesn't miss. Yep, good. Able to pick it up with the stun. It's always sad to see those cannon minions go down to a tower. Nice pressure from the bot lane. Able to pick up a tower, sort of put the gold closer together again. They've got to be careful though, because a teleport from Renekton could put them in a bad way. Both Nasus and Renekton having their teleports available. Now at some point, even with Renekton as far ahead as he is, Nasus will start to swing back into the game. Renekton looking for a dive here. Pops his ultimate. The Wither going down. And it looks like he just walks out. No, he didn't pop his ultimate, sorry. Flash happening. Catching the Evelyn. She throws her ultimate, she flashes over, but Nocturne is waiting. That's just Evelyn getting caught. Was she clearing out the vision ward? Was that what that was?
I'm not sure.
I missed the setup for that. So I'm seeing that one vision ward is down, so I'm guessing that that's what that was, trying to sort of regain vision control of the river. But in the process, biting it.
Bubble onto Tristana, fight up top. No follow-up onto Tristana, though, so...
Taking the mid tower. Nocturne really showing some presence around the map. And he does have his his Wriggle's Lantern completed. So, when he's able to farm the Feral Flare up, that's going to turn into a pretty strong item for him. Looks like he's at 18 stacks now, he needs another 12 to turn it into a Feral Flare. Evelyn back alive and looking for a lane gank in top. Pressure coming out from Tristana in the bot lane. The Wither going down.
Here we go.
And slice and dice away.
And Very sad.
And really getting the timing of those ganks is tricky because, you know, when you pop the Wither, Renekton knows something's coming. I almost wonder if
it probably would have been better if
come around from the side, maybe.
Or wait for Renekton to use at least his slice first before engaging.
Oh, nice bubble onto Tristana. Not able to do anything with it. And here's another gank attempt in the top lane. Nasus doesn't have a lot of mana. Evelynn can actually wrap around here. Good patience from Evelynn, and Nasus, I think, tipping his hand with his positioning. Renekton backing off. And Evelynn walks right into a Vision Ward. So just net lost time in the top lane. 3 Vision Wards from Ramrod across the map.
Hopefully Eric can start picking those up. He's gonna have to check a few more bushes before those start going down. It seems like Ramrod has control of the river almost, where it seems like it would be too unsafe to try to clear any of those wards.
I'd say for the nice bubble. Braum just totally shutting it down. Nice juke from Caitlyn. Now in the last, I'd say, minute and a half, Evelynn has been in the top half of the map the entire time, and the enemy team has known that she's been there that entire time, which enables this dragon to just smoothly go over to Ramrod with a 2-man pick. So those Vision Wards showing where Evelynn is and allowing Ramrod to just continue their dragon control, putting them now almost 4,000 gold ahead. Trade coming down from Caitlyn. I don't know if the sustain is going to be enough. When you're that low on health now, you got to start to worry about a Nocturne ult into your lane, diving the tower.
I mean, Nocturne... Is his ult up?
Yes.
Yeah, it is up.
Yeah, so you got to be really careful. I don't know if they even know that the dragon is gone. They've been having such a hard time taking control of Vision. Evelynn is really worried about wandering into that river now after what happened last time. So they can see that it's gone. She sees the Vision Ward.
There we go.
Looks like she'll pick up the Vision Ward. But again, Renekton sees Evelynn's in bot lane. Nasus isn't there. Free top tower. So just the movement around the map really going in the favor of Ramrod.
Permafrost really needs to get a team fight together. That's what their comp is for.
Yeah. And you can see the items on
happen.
Rise. He's got his Rod of Ages, which is a stacking item. He's got his Tear, which is, again, a stacking item. It's almost fully stacked now. He's starting to build out a Banshee's Veil. When he finishes that Banshee's Veil and finishes his Archangels, it's going to be almost impossible for Permafrost to bring him down. And just the damage output from a Rise over a sustained team fight is absolutely terrifying to witness. And you contrast that with the Brand, who has not even a full finished item yet. So Haunting Guise is part of an item. He's now working on a Rylai's. Not a lot of AP. So 121 AP. Rise doesn't use AP. It's all based on mana, and the stacking items that he needs are essentially finished. So I'm getting a little bit worried about these fights. You can see that Tristana is nearly done with her core items. Almost a full second item above Caitlyn.
Yeah, Caitlyn's really kind of lagging behind with the CS. Oh, flash from Rise. This is not good.
Blocking the Brand down. He throws down his ultimate, but you can see it just doesn't hit them. With a Nocturne and a Rise both sitting on a Spectre's Cowl, neither one of them is really squishy enough for Brand to bring down with a single ultimate. They just don't have the damage. That that hit on Rise from Caitlyn just didn't even touch him. And at this point, you got to start wondering, how are you going to turn this around? That's Nocturne ultiming in. Should be an easy pickup. Good damage from Caitlyn, but she's going to get burned down by Rise. That walking turret of the mid lane, of the mid line in a team fight.
This is starting to spell lights out for Permafrost. They haven't gotten a single team fight, and we're already
almost 8,000 gold down at 22 minutes.
How many dragons have
we've
they lost?
We've lost 2 dragons. 4 towers to 1.
Those were the objectives that they really needed to focus to get their team fight.
Yeah, and I think the issue here is that, or one of the primary issues is that with an Evelynn, unless if they get a significant flank, they don't really have any initiation. Brand doesn't have the damage to bring anyone down instantly at this point. Not even Tristana, I think. I don't even think he can kill. I mean, she doesn't really have any defensive items, but Braum is going to be able to protect him, and then you've got everyone else on the team is tanky. You've got Nocturne, Rise, Renekton, and Braum, none of which are killable from Brand. So that Wombo is just going to tickle, which leaves you with pretty much Caitlyn. Nasus isn't going to be scared until the end. Renekton pops the ult. They catch Evelynn on the side. She's just going to get completely obliterated.
This is not Permafrost's game.
I like what they were trying to do with the composition, but given the weaker lanes and the consistency of losing their lanes, I'm not sure that an Evelynn is a good choice. It's because he hasn't been able to capitalize on that stealth power at all. Evelyn's still down. Renekton dives in. He doesn't have an ultimate. Nami ultimate coming in. This is a team fight that they really need to win. Brand walking right into the middle of the fight, unable to pick up a kill. Ramrod taking a ton of tower damage. They're able to get Renekton. Brand going in for some more damage. He's going to go down. Again, just look how tanky they are. His burst hits, and it barely touches. Evelynn going in. This could be big. He can pick up a double here.
He needs 3. He needs all of them.
He's got to pick up this Rise. Rise unable to pick up another, and they did turn that around. So that puts them 7,000 gold down. But the question is, what can they take? None of the lanes are pushed. Dragon has just spawned. The bot lane has a significant stack on the bot tower. And there just aren't very many options. They're nowhere close to where they need to be, and Ramrod's going to spawn in time, and it's just going to be a drop in the bucket. Essentially, Ramrod stayed too long, took too many tower shots. That's sort of the careless fight of the day.
Ramrod spent a lot of that fight under the tower, and it was still a close team fight.
Yeah, and they were also able to spend their gold. So if you look at Rise now, he didn't build a Banshee's Veil, he built a Spirit Visage, which increases the spell vamp he's going to get when he pops his ultimate. And now he's working on his Archangel Staff. So Rise is getting really strong. Big knock-up on Renekton, but he's too tanky. There's, as Xpeke would say, too tanky.
They cannot let this dragon go.
I don't know if they can fight it either. They try to go in.
So
Nasus walking into the middle. This is the fight that they need. Nocturne's low. Big Wombo coming in, but I don't know if it's enough. The health is... They took a lot of health off.
Pushed a lot of people out, and it looks like they're on the chase, but nothing.
They don't have a way to continue the fight. Rise just happily farming in mid lane, not even concerned.
They had to do that before Dragon went down.
It was a good fight. You know, the fight went in their direction, but they didn't get anything out of it.
Now they need an objective. They pushed them out. They essentially won the fight, but because no objectives are available, they're not getting anything out of it.
And now the Wombo is down for Brand. They're going to easily defend that tower. So they didn't have any waves pushed. They didn't get to the dragon in time, and essentially they win nothing. They get a they get a battle in the war that grants them no villages. And at this point, I mean, if I were Permafrost, I would probably start to get a little frustrated. You know, you're trying to make plays. They're not rolling over. They're not just letting it go. So kudos for that. You know, staying in the game, trying to make plays. Evelyn gets seen in top. Another ward coming down. They did swap to 2 sweepers now. So 3 people still running the yellow trinket for vision.
No oracles, though. None of them have upgraded to oracles yet, which is probably is a really important part about being able to check multiple locations on that short 60-second timer.
Ramrod with 4 vision wards down on the map. Many of which, I think they actually just replaced one. So they had one in their top jungle, which they just put another down just to move it to a better spot. So they're really winning the vision control. And Permafrost is running out of time. Rise has finished his Archangel Staff. Tristana, just like last game, has just hit 4 items. She's got her Last Whisper. She's got the Static Shiv for the attack speed. She's got the Infinity Edge for the crits. And Nami gets a nice bubble. Evelyn tries to go in, but they can't do anything with it. Didn't save the ultimate, which was good. But they've got to be really careful here.
Going to be pumping out oodles and noodles more damage than Caitlyn in the team fight.
Yeah, when you look at Caitlyn's items, she's got a Zeal and an Infinity Edge, so she's basically an item and a half down, a full item and a half down on Tristana, and that's an important item. The Last Whisper is what lets you chew through the armor on the opposing tanks, and Caitlyn doesn't have that, so, a big catch onto Evelyn. She pops her ultimate, flashes, doesn't make it out. You have to question whether it was even worth throwing the ultimate there and the flash. I guess she had to try. And the question is, what are Ramrod going to take with this? Without an Evelyn to start a fight and to slow people, I'm not sure that Permafrost can even risk a fight. And then there's the other side of it too, where when you've got the shot caller, when the shot caller gets picked and killed repeatedly, it has a pretty negative impact on the team's decision-making as a whole. Especially if the player goes on tilt. Not that Arid is particularly prone to going on tilt, but it's going to hit anybody. Any person would be affected by that. Ramrod looking to maybe bait the Baron. Doesn't want to risk the Baron going the other way. Smart play there, backing off. They probably could have just forced it, but they didn't want to risk it getting stolen and going the other way. They just back off. They're gonna farm the lanes. They know they've got the advantage. They just have to wait. Honestly, the longer this game goes, the better it gets.
Yeah, Rise is
getting really big.
Archangels has deleted and is now their staff thingy.
That next item that he's building is most likely either a Death Cap or a Void Staff. I would guess Void Staff. At which point he's going to be, as you say, pumping out oodles and oodles of damage, and they won't have an answer. He's a very tanky turret that there's not much that Permafrost can do anything about.
What do you think of Brand's
build?
He seems to like this Rylai's with
Yeah, we've seen it before.
Torment.
And if the game gets to the full late game, I think the last time we saw him build this way, his 6th item was a Death Cap. So basically, with his last item, he doubled his damage. And up to that point, it's largely utility. Nocturne ulting in, Caitlyn getting out.
Nocturne might have been too deep. Only one person hit by the Braum ult.
We're seeing some hesitation here from Permafrost. A call getting made. Evelyn goes in. The Nami ultimate is blown. Lots of flashes coming down. Rise is caught. Lots of damage down on Rise. Can they finish him? They finish him off. Renekton going to the backline. Evelyn is still up, but she's out of mana. So they pick up a kill. They don't get anything else out of it, though. So, but they're able to stop.
That was a miracle, though.
It was a miracle. 10,000 gold down, winning a team fight is astounding. One could say that Nocturne maybe went a little too deep there. Bran trying to... Oh, wow. Did you see that crit?
I'm trying not to.
Tristana landing a single auto attack and taking about a third of Bran's health. One auto attack. They're going to roll straight to Dragon, taking out the vision on the way.
The first Dragon.
Renekton pushing his advantage in top. Doesn't have teleport. Nasa still has her teleport. The ward coverage is just insanely good for Ramrod. They've covered the Baron Pit and the Dragon. If they hadn't lost the fight, I mean, they're really they're in the driver's seat here. Nasa's trying to get to top lane in time to get that farm.
I'm sure that team fight must have shaken them, though.
Yeah, and I mean, even seeing your Rise go down like that, the tanky Rise, it's got to make you wonder, but this is a smart play from Ramrod. Really smart play. They've got the vision in the bottom half, they know where Permafrost is, and this is a free Baron. Just outplayed in moving around the map here. The superior vision allowing them to make the right calls at the right time, and essentially Permafrost just wasting too much time. You know, when they took the Dragon, if they had all backed immediately out of the Dragon Pit, then Ramrod wouldn't have known where they were. And they could have potentially gotten to Baron in time, tried to clear out the vision. At this point in the game, it's a big objective you got to worry about. They didn't have any vision of it. Maybe they're just thinking we can't contest it anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. They should have pilled after the Dragon right away and ran out to the Baron Pit. They surely could have contested it.
Or at least based on how that last fight went.
Yeah.
And part of what we might be seeing is the Renekton starting to fall off a little bit here. So Nasa's coming into his own, Renekton falling off, but that doesn't discount the Rise and the Tristana. The Tristana now finishing a 5th item and getting perilously close to that 6th item 1v5 devastation that's about to happen. And if you couple that with Tristana's mobility, it's a really scary, really scary.
They're gonna have a lot of trouble getting onto Tristana. They're going to have to hope that errant AoE bounce from Bran nicks her for just enough damage to force her out of the fight.
We're not down an inhib yet. We're just under 10,000 gold down. We're 2 towers down. So if they're able, or 3 towers, if they're able to get 3 towers back, that will bring the game a lot closer. Especially based on how that last team fight went. But one wrong team fight, and this game is essentially done. The Baron is on Ramrod right now, and Permafrost going for a really aggressive play down the mid lane. Pulling out at the last minute. Looks like they realize they may not have the power they wanted to have to start that fight. A lot of gold in the bank for Nasus and for Caitlyn. Caitlyn finally finishing a 2nd item, but still, you've got 3 items on Caitlyn versus 5 items on Tristana. That is, it's almost 4,000 gold down between the 80 carries.
That is very frightening.
3,000 gold difference between top laners.
If it were anyone else, like if it
3,000
were
gold difference in mid.
If it were Renekton who held on to that gold difference, it would be a somewhat more hopeful story, but with Tristana taking that big of a lead,
So, the ult coming in from Nasus.
Nice.
Braum ultimate. Nami ult. Here's the wombo combo. They're able to pick up Nocturne, but Rise has not been touched. Tristana's alive. Rise is at full health, sitting on 3,200 hit points. Didn't even lose a hit point in that fight. And Permafrost lost 2 players. They were able to take one. Oh, that's not good. This could be it. They could push this in. Bran's got to be really careful here. And a pause coming in. Pause from Caitlyn. Bug splat. Oh, that is just the worst. Well, that would explain why Nami wandered right into that. I'm not sure that it would have mattered in this case.
Well, it would have prolonged the game, surely.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. This team was poised pretty much to jump right in there either way.
A summoner has reconnected.
Nami gets back into the game. I don't know if this reconnect's going to matter. Really frustrating way to end a game, though. To have fought this long, to try to hold on, to have a couple moments of hope, and then getting shut down by your own client. And the game is back. Ramrod not wasting any time taking this tower. They may look to just end the game here.
Blue team's inhibitor has been destroyed.
Yep, they're going for it. A lot of damage coming in on that bottom tower.
Blue team's turret
Not wanting to let loose at all. Braum taking the damage. There's nothing Bran can do,
Game.
and that'll be the end of it. A tough 2 games for our team, Permafrost, that fought through the group stages. 5-2 in groups, with some really impressive come-from-behind victories, but when they step up to this playoff level, the teams are a little bit more clear in their movement around the map. They know how to close out games. When they grab a lead, they don't let go. Even just the compositions, you know, taking that Tristana to seal the late game in each of these games, and then the Rise to make it even more of a point. I think for Permafrost to really compete, they're gonna have to look at their individual lanes and say, you know, why are we losing the lanes 1v1? You know, do we need to practice our mechanics? Do we need to practice our jungler lane synergy? Because they're losing lanes in almost every game. It's got to be frustrating.
Does have to be. I'm going to have to bow out before we get an interview with our
favorite jungler.
So.
Well, thanks for casting, and
fun ride. It's just a shame that it's over.
yeah. Yep.
Good game all around.